Hey guys, it's Scott back with our college football show. I'm here with my buddy Gary. Gary, what did you think about the weekend besides that beautiful game last night? That LSU game was incredible, I thought.
It was an incredible game. It really was. And Brian Kelly was big mad at the end of
Yeah.
that in the post game press conference. No, it was a fun weekend. We got some data points, right? I think that's the biggest thing for guys like us. We're trying to figure out exactly what these teams are, and some of them certainly taught us that. Miami, big surprise there, and I don't know if it was the fact that Miami is really really good or that Florida is really really not good. But that one certainly surprised me. Nebraska, hey, your Cornhuskers looking pretty good, right? Leading into Colorado this week. Uh,
Right. Well,
there's
they're
a
going
lot
to
to be
win
excited about.
right, they're going to win the national championship this year. So it was a good start. My wife did ask me how did Nebraska play, and I said, "Well, it's really hard to tell." And she didn't understand that. I said, "I don't know if they're really good or UTEP's really bad, but we're going to find out at Colorado this weekend."
Oh
And
yes,
that's going to be the most important game on the schedule this weekend. I just wanted to say one thing about that Georgia game. Georgia played out of their mind. I thought
oh
they did so much better than I had projected. I couldn't
yeah,
believe it. So they'll
yeah.
be
They are really good. And look, season openers in Atlanta for them, it's always a thing. I don't think that Clemson is as bad as Georgia made them look,
right.
but at the same time, this is just par for the course for Clemson over the past few years, right? So I don't know how much to read into it that Georgia is fantastic, but I do think that Georgia is really, really good again. So that'll be something to watch as we go further into the season.
Well, I've already penciled them in to play in the national championship game against Nebraska, so that's where I stand on Georgia. But
There
let's
you
go
go.
ahead. Let's go ahead and talk about this great week. We have a game tonight that I don't know what in the world's going to happen. But let's start with the second most important game this weekend. Texas, brand new member of the SEC, taking on powerhouse Michigan in the Big House. What kind of numbers do you have on this one?
So a lot of people want to downgrade Michigan after that performance against Fresno State, right? They won 30-10. They got a late interception return for a touchdown. They they did what they had to do in that game. I don't know how I feel about the quarterback situation there, but there is a part of me that after going back and watching that thing again, it feels like they were certainly holding some things back in that ball game. Texas on the other side, I mean, they absolutely handled Colorado State, no issue. So of course, the line that opened up 2.5 over the summer is now Texas by 6.5, 7 at a few spots, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my numbers now. I've still got it Texas minus 2.32, and that's even after updating the power ratings. I I mean I would at 7 I would have to lean Michigan on this thing, but there was nothing that really inspired me about the Wolverines. I don't know if you felt the same way, but Texas is exactly what we thought they were. Quinn Ewers pretty good. It looks like their red zone offense is cleaned up a little bit. Now, granted, that was against Colorado State's defense,
Right.
but that's going to be something to pay attention to. They were number 18 in success margin after the first week. Now, again, it's an easy opponent, but Michigan played Fresno State, and they're number 58 in success margin. Michigan was not as cleaned up as they were last year, but there's a lot of new pieces and whatnot.
Mhm.
I'm curious what the Michigan offensive line is going to look like against Texas's defensive line, because I still don't think Texas's defensive line is up to what they were last year. This is going to be a very interesting game. It's me, data points. I want data
Right.
points. I want to see what these two look like against each other. But yeah, at 7 like this, I would have to lean the home team because I think they're going to be fired up. I think they got some things still in the clip that they haven't shown yet, and I think that Texas might not be this dominant team that they showed against Colorado State.
Yeah, and I agree with all of that. I think it's going to be a great game, probably the second best game of the weekend. But I don't want to bury the lead here, Gary. I want to go to the best game of the weekend. Colorado going on the road against the national champ Nebraska Cornhuskers. What kind of line do you have on this game?
I am at 5.854 in favor of Nebraska. Now, it went up a little bit, right? I think we've got some sevens out there in favor of
Yeah.
Nebraska. I think we might have a 6.5 as well. Uh, Nebraska's defense is good, but is that secondary good enough to hang with the receivers that Colorado has? And I think that I think the Colorado offensive line has improved. I don't know that either team is going to be able to slow down the other one too much. Like I think this could get real pointsy.
Yeah.
And do you have the total right in front of you? Do you know what it is?
I had it in front of me, but I had to close it because of the problems we had last week.
So I think
Sorry.
I think it was. Oh, I understand. I think it's certainly got to be in the 60s, and I would think over. You feel the same?
Yo, absolutely. I think this is going to be a shootout. I would really like to see Nebraska defense play really well. I'm not entirely sure it's going to happen this weekend. I think this is going to be a big number in Nebraska. And with Nebraska at home, I think they're going to really light up the scoreboard.
I think so too. That Raiola kid is unbelievable. And yeah. I don't know how I missed it. Isaiah Nair is an absolute baller. That kid is unbelievable. And he was at Wyoming. He transferred over to Texas, and he looks great in this offense. Like, he is exactly what Raiola needed.
Yep.
Veteran presence, good dude that can get past the defense. I think he's gonna show out this weekend. I have a good feeling about that.
Yeah, I do too. I do want to tell you, though, that I had to close my email, I had to close Signal, and I had to close Spank Odds on my communication PC because of what we had the FUD tie with all the noises last week. But Nebraska, I think, is going to fly over this total. So
yeah, I think so too. So too. This is good, very pointsy this weekend.
Very much so. All right, now we got two more games we want to talk about. Georgia Tech taking on Syracuse. I don't know a whole lot about this game. I'm going to go ahead and see, what do your numbers look like?
So Georgia Tech came out, opened as I believe 2 to 2.5 point favorite. It's up to 3 at a couple of spots this morning. I still have Syracuse favored by a little less than a point, so about half a point here. And the reason for that, the spot on the schedule is really difficult, right? Georgia Tech went back, and so did Ireland, came back, went to Atlanta, got to win, got to cover, but now they got to go on the road all the way up to Syracuse, New York this weekend. It's going to be very difficult to maintain this. And, I think Syracuse talent-wise is really good. The Carrier, the formerly known as the Carrier Dome, whatever it is now, it's going to be rocking. This is a prime spot for Georgia Tech, who has looked great thus far, to maybe come out a little bit flat early in this game. But, man, that offensive coordinator for Georgia Tech, Buster Faulkner, that guy's going to be coaching on Sundays soon. He is unbelievable. And Tyler Santucci, the defensive coordinator, he has already got that defense, I don't know how to explain it. They know how to tackle now. And I never expected that. So Georgia Tech, look, Syracuse had 200 yards of rushing offense put up on them against Ohio last week, and that's a MAC school. Georgia Tech knows how to run the ball. I want to know data points. I want to see what Georgia Tech can do against Syracuse, because this is a talented team on the road and it's a bad scheduling spot for Georgia Tech. Can they keep going at the pace that they're going, because they've covered 2 straight? They've looked really good thus far. Is Syracuse the kind of team that, their win total was 7.5 with a brand new head coach in Fran Brown? I'm interested. I'm very interested. What do you think about this one?
Well, I want to see that game tonight before I make any kind of thoughts here on Georgia Tech, because it's just too early for me to know much about them. Because I'm pretty much a Nebraska fan and pretty much focused on that. But the Florida State game tonight will teach me a lot about how Georgia Tech is going to do in this ball game.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It should be a good game.
Yeah, that Florida State game tonight, that line came down to 16, and then bounced back up to 17. It's all over the place, but it was 22 in the summer, and immediately after that Georgia Tech game, it dropped 5 points.
Right.
Very interesting to see exactly what they're going to end up doing here.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good game tonight. Maybe I can even talk Cameron into adding that to the playlist today. I don't know if I'll be able to talk him into it, but I'll try. We got one more game, and I'm not even going to complain about Pac-12 schools moving to the Big Ten. We're just going to say Boise State taking on Oregon, and Oregon looks pretty darn good this year too.
They do. That was a weird game in week 1 against Idaho. You go back, and I just went back and watched the key plays and looked through the drive charts and all that, and they did what they were supposed to do. But man, a 24-14 win over an FCS school, not exactly what you expect. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback at Oregon, to really find that chemistry with this team. But it's not just him. It's all of these new pieces. It's going to take some time to gel. Now, my number on this is Oregon minus 19. So, 19.8. So let's say 20.
Yeah.
There's a possibility that Boise can really run the ball. Talent-wise, there's no chance. But, I mean, we've seen crazier things, haven't we? I mean, this one feels like it could be really, really fun, really weird. It's a late-night game. I think it doesn't kick off until 10:30 p.m. Eastern. So, late night, West Coast. I'm interested. Again, I want data points. I just want to see what these kind of teams do against each other, because we saw Oregon not put up a ton of points against an FCS school. Are they going to be able to do it against Boise State? Were they just holding a bunch back? And it's not that they were holding a bunch back. They had very successful drives. They just turned the ball over a couple times and, ran the clock, et cetera, just got out of Dodge without any injuries. But Boise State, I mean, when they needed to put up points, I mean, they hung 56 on the board in Statesboro, Georgia last week. And Ashton Jeanty, that running back, 6 touchdowns, 247 yards rushing, I think it was.
Right.
If Oregon has any trouble stopping the run, that's going to be a big issue. Big issue. So this one's going to be fun. I mean, it was a mini rivalry for a few years back in the early 2010s. I want to see it. I want to see what Dirk Cutter does against this defense. Dirk Cutter's the offensive coordinator at Boise. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, that one should be a great game. Yeah, and next week I'll have Spank Odds pulled up on a separate machine so it doesn't make all those noises. Because I have so many alerts and limit alerts and line alerts. It just causes all those problems.
Oh yeah,
but we'll get that worked out for us next week. But looks like another great week of college football. Cameron's back. He's going to be able to broadcast these games. I'm going to see if I can talk him into broadcasting that Florida State game early today if he's available. But he's going to broadcast all 4 of these games. We might even get a doubleheader tonight. So we'll see what happens. Gary, where can we catch you at?
As always, the BetUS College Football Show every Tuesday and Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, live on the channel. We have a fantastic time doing that show. And a pretty successful week last week. Not too crazy. Went to 11-7 on our picks on that show last week. So we're getting in the groove. We're feeling good. But you can also find me on Winning Cures Everything. And winningcureseverything.com is the website there. But those 2 are the easiest ways that you can find me.
Oh, and BetUS made a huge announcement about raising those limits on college football.
That's right.
Spank Odds got them up already. So Spank Odds is the only odds service that has BetUS limits on it. So that was a big announcement this weekend. I actually tweeted that out myself. Yeah,
they are. And I retweeted yours because that's a big change, right? Anybody that has been limited in the past at BetUS can now go and bet full limits. And of course, go and check out Scott's Twitter page, and you can find exactly what the limits are there. But it's big. It's big. So everybody will be able to get down on whatever games you want to.
Yeah, it's really good. Now we have four major sports books in the world that are actually posting limits like they should for everybody. So I'm really excited about that. But that's about all I have for this week. If you want, there's Spank Odds talking on another machine right now. All right, that's about all I got for right now. Gary, I say we sign out of here, and we'll just have another good week of college football.
You got that right, brother. I cannot wait.
Me too. Thanks for listening, guys.